Look at this place. Bare rock, scorching sun. For 10 months of the year, not a single drop of rain falls. The air is so dry, it cracks the skin on your hands. You are in the deserts of modern-day Jordan, a place where survival is measured in hours, not years. And yet, right here, an entire civilization built a metropolis. They didn't just survive, they thrived for centuries. How? They became masters of the one thing this desert refused to give them: water. This is the story of the Nabateans, an empire built on a secret that allowed 20,000 people to live in a city of stone, hidden from the world. You might know it by another name: Petra. Today you see magnificent tombs carved into sandstone cliffs. You see the ghosts of a powerful kingdom. But the real masterpiece isn't what you see. It's what you don't. It's hidden underground. It's carved deep inside the rock itself. And it all starts with a sound, the distant rumble of thunder. In this desert, rain is not a blessing. It is a violent, destructive force. Flash floods can carve canyons in minutes. They can sweep away everything in their path. Most people would run. The Nabateans ran towards it. They saw the flood not as a threat, but as a harvest, and they built the most sophisticated harvesting machine in the ancient world. They carved hundreds of kilometers of channels directly into the mountains. Tiny veins just centimeters wide, snaking across the rock face. Every channel was angled with mathematical precision. Every surface was designed to guide each precious drop. When the storm came, the entire city became a funnel. Water poured down the cliffs, into the channels, and was directed towards massive hidden cisterns. They dug over 200 of these reservoirs into the earth. Some could hold millions of liters, enough water to sustain their entire city through a year of drought. Think about what that means. While the rest of the desert withered and died, Petra had gardens, they had fountains, they had swimming pools. They turned a dead rock into a living oasis. This water wasn't just for drinking. It was a weapon. It was the source of their immense wealth. Traders on the incense routes, their camels dying of thirst, would pay any price for safe passage and water. The Nabateans controlled the flow of life itself. But here's the part that nobody talks about. Their system was so advanced, it did more than just collect water from floods. They found a way to pull it right out of the air. Condensation traps. Subterranean aqueducts that cooled the air to its dew point. Technology that modern engineers are only now beginning to understand. It seems impossible, magic, but it was real. And it raises a terrifying question. If they were this advanced 1,000 years ago, what else did they know that we have forgotten? You're standing in the Sikh, a narrow, winding canyon. The sandstone walls tower 180 meters above you, glowing red and orange in the sun. You feel the dry heat on your skin. You hear nothing but the wind and the crunch of sand under your feet. This is the entrance to Petra, a city that, at its peak, housed over 20,000 people, in a place that receives less than 10 centimeters of rain per year. Look around. There are no rivers. There are no lakes. There is only rock and sand. So you have to ask the obvious question. Where did they get the water? The answer isn't on the ground. It's inside the walls around you. Look closer. See that groove carved into the side of the canyon, about shoulder height? It looks like a simple decoration. It's not. It's a channel. And it is part of one of the most sophisticated water collection systems in the ancient world. The Nabateans were the engineers of this place. They saw this desert not as an obstacle, but as an opportunity. They understood a simple, powerful fact about this terrain. When it does rain here, It doesn't soak into the ground. It runs. And here's where it gets clever. Instead of letting that precious water vanish, they decided to capture every single drop. They carved hundreds of kilometers of channels just like this one. They dug over 200 cisterns, vast underground reservoirs, directly into the solid rock. These weren't just pits. They were waterproofed with a special kind of mortar, so nothing was lost to seepage. One cistern alone could hold millions of liters of water. Think about that for a moment. This wasn't a well. It was a city-sized sponge designed to soak up a storm and hold its breath for a year. But their true genius wasn't just in collecting the rain, it was in taming the flood. A desert flash flood is a terrifying thing. A wall of water, mud, and rock moving at deadly speed. Most would run from it. The Nabateans ran towards it. In 20 A.D., the Nabatean king Aretas IV built a diversion dam at the mouth of the Sikh. Its purpose was to catch this violent torrent. The dam would redirect the floodwaters into a separate tunnel, a dark passage cut through the mountain. This tunnel then fed the water into that network of cisterns, filling their city's reserves. They took a force of pure destruction and turned it into a source of life. This system was their secret weapon. It allowed them to do the impossible. They had fountains, and they had a swimming pool. They had lush gardens growing grapes and figs right in the heart of the desert. And now, pay attention to this part. Water wasn't just for survival. It was a commodity. Petra was a hub on the ancient incense routes, where caravans carrying frankincense and myrrh, resins worth more than gold, would pass. These caravans, after weeks in the desert, were desperate for water. The Nabateans were the only supplier for hundreds of kilometers. They could name their price. Water made them rich, and that wealth built the magnificent temples and tombs you see today. They had conquered the desert. They had built an empire on a resource that everyone else lacked. They seemed invincible. For centuries they were. So if they had solved the single greatest challenge of their existence, why did their power begin to fade? They controlled the water. They controlled the trade. They answered to no one. But history tells us their last king, Rabel II Soter, who ruled until 106 A.D., moved his capital north, away from the city. He spent his final years far from the protection of these canyon walls. What could possibly scare a king who ruled a fortress that brought water from stone? What was he running from, if not the desert? You're looking at a civilization that conquered the desert. You see the channels, carved by hand directly into the sandstone cliffs. You see the vast underground cisterns capable of holding 40 million liters of water, in a place that receives less than 10 centimeters of rain per year. This wasn't about survival. This was a statement of power. A city so wealthy it could command the clouds, making the sand itself bloom on command. For 1,000 years, it worked. But here's the part nobody talks about. That entire system, 1,000 kilometers of pipes and channels feeding 20,000 people, was a miracle of engineering. It was also incredibly fragile. The whole water supply depended on a handful of key choke points. Think of it like a modern power grid. One critical failure, and the entire network goes dark. For the Nabateans of Petra, one powerful earthquake, one flash flood that overwhelms the main diversion dam at the Asq entrance, and the city dies of thirst. They had built a masterpiece with a single point of failure. And now, pay attention to this. We celebrate the genius of their engineering. We marvel at the tombs carved from living rock. But who do you think did the work? Look closer at the chisel marks. Millions of them. Imagine the sound echoing through these canyons for centuries. the sting of sand in your eyes, the sun beating down at 45 degrees Celsius. This paradise was built on the sweat of thousands whose names are lost. For every wealthy merchant counting gold inside a cool, rock-hewn home, there were 100 men with cracked hands and aching backs, clearing silt from a channel, patching a leaky pipe, hoping the water would last just one more season. It was a society of extreme contrast, immense wealth funded by a brutal monopoly on the incense trade, and a massive labor class required to keep the illusion of a desert oasis alive. Their success was built on two things: controlling water and controlling trade. And then the world changed. The Romans, their biggest customers, found a better way. They figured out the monsoon winds of the Indian Ocean. A Roman captain named Hippolus is credited with the discovery around the 1st century BCE. Suddenly, giant cargo ships could sail directly from Egypt to India. Faster, cheaper, much, much safer than the long overland journey. The camel caravans that were the lifeblood of Petra became obsolete almost overnight. Think about what that means. And the river of gold that flowed into the city from the spice and incense trade simply stopped. And when the money is gone, who pays the stonemasons? Who pays the engineers to maintain the dams? The desert doesn't care about your economy. It just waits. The cracks in the cisterns grew wider, the channels filled with sand. The system began to fail, not with a bang, but with a silent decay. And this reveals the final dark irony of their story. The Nabateans were not defeated by the desert's heat or a Roman invasion. They were defeated by their own success. Their water engineering was so brilliant it allowed them to build a city far too large, far too dependent on a single source of income. It became a beautiful, gilded cage. When their wealth vanished, they were trapped. A population of 20,000 people in a place that could naturally support maybe 200. Their greatest achievement became their tomb. The models and the monuments tell one story, but the bones tell another. Forget the priests and the astronomers for a moment. Look closer. See that woman. Her name is lost to us, but her story is etched into the earth. The year is 1285. For 9 straight years, the summer rains have failed. The great monsoon, the lifeblood of this entire civilization, is just a memory, a myth told to children who have never seen a storm. You can see the lines of worry carved around her eyes. They mirror the cracks in the soil outside her stone home, a home her ancestors built, a home she may have to abandon. Her hands, rough from grinding corn that no longer grows, run over the cool, empty surface of a water jar. It is a masterpiece of design. It is utterly useless. The air is thick with fine dust. It coats your tongue. It stings your eyes. But the only sound is the wind, whistling a hollow tune through the empty doorways of the great houses. Here is the part nobody likes to talk about. The engineering marvels of the qanats and reservoirs meant nothing when there was no water to fill them. The complex astronomy could predict the solstice. It could not make it rain. The society was a miracle of cooperation. But cooperation cannot fill an empty stomach. You see her looking at her child. The boy's ribs are a stark relief beneath his skin. This is not a dramatic famine you see in films. This is a quiet, grinding starvation, a daily erosion of hope. Archaeologists see it in the skeletons from this period. They find porous bones, a sign of severe anemia. They find hairless lines, markers of arrested growth in children who simply stopped getting enough food to build their own bodies. Well, think about what that means. A generation of children never reached their full height. A generation of people lived with a constant aching hunger. Every day the men would walk further for less, a rabbit, a few hardy roots. They would return with empty hands and dust on their lips. The women would search for edible insects, for anything to boil into a thin, desperate soup. And then, one day, the final source of water is gone. Not a trickle, not a muddy puddle. Just dry, cracked clay where the spring used to be. The center of their world for 500 years is now a tomb. The decision is not made in a great council. There is no grand pronouncement. It happens in whispers, in the dark. A look exchanged between a husband and a wife. A silent agreement that to stay is to die. So they pack. But what do you take? You cannot carry the stone walls that sheltered you. You cannot carry the fields that fed your ancestors. You can only take what fits on your back: a water skin, now tragically light, a handful of dried seeds, a prayer that they might grow somewhere else, a flint knife, a blanket. They leave behind pottery, tools, and personal treasures, objects that, just a decade earlier, were the center of their lives. Now, they are just weight, unbearable weight. You watch them walk away from the great city of Pueblo Bonito, not as a grand exodus, but as individual families, one by one. They turn their backs on 1,000 years of history. They walk out into the desert with no map, no destination, only a desperate, burning hope for a cloud on the horizon. They left behind their homes, their temples, their dead. But what was the one thing they chose not to leave? The single object they carried with them into the unknown? And would it be enough to save them? So, they built a paradise in a place that should have been a tomb. For 1,000 years, they made the stones bloom and the fountains flow, with less annual rainfall than modern Las Vegas gets in a single month. Think about that. We see their carved facades, the treasury, the monastery. But their true monument is invisible. It's underground, a silent network of channels and cisterns waiting. And here is the part that changes everything. Their system was not one giant centralized machine. It was thousands of small independent ones. Every single neighborhood, every large home had its own cistern, its own lifeline. If one channel was blocked or one dam failed, the city did not thirst. This was not just brilliant engineering. It was a philosophy of resilience, etched in stone and clay. They understood a profound truth. The desert does not give you water. You must earn it, drop by precious drop. Today, we have satellites that can see a single coin from space. We have drills that can pierce the Earth's crust. We command technology the Nabateans would have considered magic. And yet, our great cities built in the desert are living on borrowed time. We drain ancient aquifers, fossil water that took millennia to accumulate, and we empty them in a single human lifetime. Look at the Ogallala Aquifer in the American Midwest. Its water levels are dropping by meters each year, gone forever. The Nabateans sustained their city for centuries on what the sky gave them each season, nothing more. They listened to the land. They watched the way a single trickle of water from a flash flood would find its path through the canyons. And they simply guided it. They did not conquer the desert. They partnered with it. They saw the terrifying flash flood not as a threat to be stopped, but as a gift to be harvested, a sudden, violent pulse of life. This subtle shift in perspective is what allowed them to thrive where all others saw only death. Their empire is gone. Their language is a whisper on the wind. But the channels they cut into the sandstone still wait for the rain. The cisterns they carved still hold their shape, deep in the cool rock. They left behind more than a city of ghosts. They left a blueprint, a way of thinking, and it asks a very simple question of us as we watch our own wells run dry. Did we inherit the earth, or are we just borrowing it from those who will come after?